Hi, my name is Jay Sugarman, and I want to welcome you to Innovation Showcase. The main purpose of this ongoing series is to inform viewers about exciting innovations and creative individuals across the fields of business, science, technology, education, and the arts. Today, via Zoom, we're fortunate to have as our guests Akshita Sachdeva and Bonny Dave. Akshita and Bonny are the co-founders of Trestle Labs, an assistive technology company located in Bengaluru, India. They've created a product called Kibo that enables blind and visually impaired individuals to listen to, translate, digitize, and audiotize any kind of printed, handwritten, and kidigital content across more than 60 languages. During the program, we're learning why and how Trestle Labs and Kibo came about, and how they've grown, developed, and operate today. In so doing, we'll come to better understand and appreciate the extremely positive and very much appreciated impact their noteworthy efforts are having for the blind and visually impaired communities. Let's start by meeting Akshita and Bonny, and then learning all about Trestle Labs and Kibo. Welcome. So delighted both of you able to be here. It's been fascinating finding out, reading about your efforts with the blind and visually impaired communities. Eager to hear much more about it and have you inform viewers. But before we jump right to that, I think it would also be of interest just to briefly hear a little bit about each of your backgrounds and professional interests. Would you please start, Akshita?
Sure. So I studied computer science engineering, and during the third year of my engineering in computer science, I started working on a college project, which was a hand glove for the blind and visually impaired, which had obstacle detection sensors that could help navigating around, and it also had an index finger, a camera on the index finger, which could help them read anything just by pointing at it or know what the scene is all about. So while it started more like a college project, things changed for me when I met this little guy at an NGO. And he used the device and he said, I want to talk to my dad about this. So he called his dad and he said, Dad, some scientists have come to my school and they have built gloves for all of us. Now I can read and travel on my own. And he just turned around after a couple of seconds asking, When can I get this? And that really acted as a pivotal point in my life when I decided this is something that I need to do, not just for him, but for millions of individuals who are visually impaired and struggle just like him with their education, employment, and day to day activities. So that's how it all started. While I studied computer science, over the last 6 years, I have been a social entrepreneur making innovation possible and that could benefit society.
Wonderful, wonderful, incredibly impressive work. Bonny, a few words about yourself.
Sure, Jay. First of all, thank you for having us as a part of this conversation. Lovely speaking with you and looking forward to the conversation. Uh, for me, the journey has been a little different. Um, I I did not want to get into social innovation from the get-go. So for me, it was like I'll just show you something. This is how I started. I wanted to do mechanical engineering, do my master's in aerospace, in aeronautics, and get a job at Boeing or Airbus or one of the world's biggest aircraft manufacturing companies. So that was my career trajectory that I wanted to pursue. But things changed for me during the second year of my engineering, and I started volunteering at a blind school in my city. For the very first time in my life, I saw braille books, those big, hefty braille books, difficult to carry around. And eventually, upon further inquiry, I got to understand how difficult it is to produce these braille books and the time and the cost involved in producing these braille books. So, as a curious engineer, I thought there must be a solution to this because the way I had access to content, I would like get a book from my friend or download a PDF from the internet and read it seamlessly. But these kids in this NGO, they were not able to access it the same way I had. So this was the photograph of from that institute. And so what I did was I got some actuators from the market. I did not know coding, but I learned to code so much so that I could push these pins in and out of a surface, which can represent a braille output. So I built a small prototype, took it back to the NGO, and we played a small game with the kids there. So I'd enter a character on my laptop and ask the kids to guess the character. And you won't believe that for me gave me a sense of fulfillment for the work that I'd done. This was not rocket science, but it was meaningful enough for that kid at that point of time. And this feeling stayed with me by the time I graduated, where I had two options whether to go for my master's in the US or go and join a social innovation organization and continue to work in the domain of building something that impacts the society directly. So I chose to go with the later part, and that's where I met Akshita. This is 2017, and our journey of building Kibo and starting Trestle Labs kickstarted from there. So this has been my journey of ups and downs, a mechanical engineer getting into social innovation.
Oh, fascinating and very informative about how both of your backgrounds led to your collaboration, the founding of Trestle Labs, and the eventual development of Kibo. Can you take us through that story, the evolution of Kibo from some of your initial ideas to the challenges, the different prototypes you went through, alterations to get it to where you have it to today? Akshita, would you please start?
Sure. So for us, it all started by applying to Digital Impact Square, which is a TCS Foundation pre-incubation center, where every year they take up like 40, 50 socially motivated individuals who are passionate to solve social challenges using technology. And they groom them to become social entrepreneurs eventually. So that's where I and Bonnie had met. And when we realized the synergy with our vision of making the world more inclusive and accessible for the visually impaired community, it was just a perfect match. And that's when the entire journey of unlearning started per se. So as engineers, you look at a problem, you want to solve it really quick. And but for us, the first 6 months there involved almost meeting 150 visually impaired individuals across 5 different cities, all the way from visually impaired early grade learners to people pursuing PhDs, masters, visually impaired people who are working at banks or in different government jobs, or even visually impaired housewives. And I think that whole identification of what are the possible gaps that we, through our technology interventions, could be bridged. And that was the whole, initial 6 months of our journey. Involved a lot of unlearning, where we validated a lot of our assumptions, tried to seek answers by observing, real life challenges that people faced.
Wonderful. I know that response is one often hear from extremely successful innovators like yourself, that's often overlooked with a lot of people when they have invention, innovation, is going to and working with the uses of what they're intending to create. So to have you take that initiative, what were some of the things that you found particularly impactful from collaborating with the blind and visually impaired and led to the creation of Kibo?
So for us, one thing that we set clear right from the beginning was we are not building it for them, but we are building it with them. And that's how we worked around co-creation models, where we would build something, get it tested, validated, get feedbacks, iterate on it, and to work across different models, different form factors. And maybe Bonnie can give you a complete walkthrough of how that roller coaster ride of back and forth iterations happen.
So interestingly, like Akshita said, and you also mentioned, so we started with something very in-house before even we went to the users. So we had our mentors around us. We went up to them and asked them, what do you think are the challenges that a blind or a visually impaired person faces in his life? So then they listed out a list of things. Oh, they may face difficulty crossing roads. So they are hesitant to ask for help, and a list of things, a list of assumptions that common people, like people who are not blind or visually impaired, people have. So then we took that thing onto the field. As Akshita said, we listed down a list of institutions and 5 cities, different types of people, employed, unemployed, male, female, children, adult, everybody. And we asked them to carry out some of these activities like crossing the roads. And we put it out on a user activity map, or how long did they take to complete it, and what are the challenges that they face while executing it. So putting it things into a piece of paper and just drawing out an activity map, that led us to us gathering many observations around all these assumptions, different things that we wanted to know, understand more about, all the way from things within the house of how do visually impaired people match 2 same colored socks once you get the clothes out of the washing machine, all the way up to how do they access information or education or employment. So everything, put it down on a piece of paper and classify them depending on the type of activity. And as you said, we spoke to a lot of people first in our journey. So I don't know if you can recognize me in that white shirt, but that's me. And this is 2017, very early on in our journey. So we spoke to a lot of people first in this journey. And something interesting happened. So as Akshita said, that engineering bent of mind, right? So the first set of users that we spoke to, and we did not know how to conduct a user research also. So we bluntly asked them, asking, sir, what are some of the challenges that you face in your life that we can help solve? Like a straight, blunt question I asked them. And this guy was taken aback. He's like, Bonnie, I don't have, like, and nobody wants to say that their life has problems. He's like, no, there's no problem in my life. But he's like, oh, in case if you want to do something, I'll tell you something. So he said, whenever I get down from the bus at the bus station, oftentimes I have to ask somebody of where my home is, which direction. And once they tell, I can navigate to my home independently. But that effort of asking someone, that is a dependency. So if you can build something around it, that would be really helpful. We are like, all of us were super joyed. Saying, oh, now we are getting a problem statement from the user. This must be the thing that we need to solve. So we put all our next day, like we came back to our office, started building things. We knew that, oh, indoor positioning system, if a visually impaired person wants to navigate to somewhere, we'll use Bluetooth BLE beacons with a smartphone app, which will tell them, okay, take 10 steps forward, 2 steps left, and you'll reach your destination. Like, now we know how to solve this. We started building things, but the good part is we did not stop speaking with people. So as we spoke with more people, we realized that, okay, I'll tell you a conversation. So I'm having this conversation with the user, and I'm very prompted to ask them that, hey, this is something that we have built. So this guy, he goes to his job every single day by taking a train to reach his office. So I told him that, okay, this is something that we have built. So whenever you enter the train station, oftentimes you don't know where is the footover bridge or which platform the train is going to come to. So here's something that we have built, which will tell you where exactly you need to go. Then now the second part of the user interviews, nobody will bluntly tell you that your product is wrong. This guy said, Bonnie, this is really cool, but just that I'm going to the same office for the past 10 years, and I exactly know where is the 10 o'clock train going to come to. So it's not the right fit for me, but it's good for other cases. Definitely you should do this. We're like, oh, now we ended up building something that the user asked for, and now we are getting this feedback saying that no, it's not good enough for them. So it took a step back to realize that definitely this is a need, but then there's a difference between a good to have thing versus an actual need of the user. And this probably was a good to have thing for them. Then we rolled up our sleeves saying that, oh, this is probably not the right thing that we need to build that ends up solving things for many people. And then we started quantitative assessment because we had lots of stories, but we were not able to figure out which direction we should focus on. So we did a small quantitative assessment also we took 4 factors and multiple areas. So one area could be, like I said, matching same color socks. Second could be education, how do they access content and other things. We plotted them against 4 factors. What is the effort to undertake that activity? What is the frequency of that activity every single day? What is the risk that if that activity is not performed up to the mark, what can go wrong? And what is the time that it takes for that person to undertake that activity? So we put a subject, evaluated on a scale of 1 to 5 across all these areas and identified what are some of the prominent areas we should focus on. So I guess that was qualitative and quantitative assessment that we brought together, coupled with a couple of analysis on what is the potential of that area, what are the challenges of building something to solve that. And we had a small a 2-axis chart wherein we would match the potential and the implementation challenges and identify the areas which had least challenges and highest potential. So we start focusing on those areas and then eventually shift our focus on other opportunity areas. So this is how we matched both of these qualitative and quantitative assessments, and then eventually landed up in this opportunity area of how can we enable real-time access to any kind of printed, handwritten, or digital content through audio to blind and visually impaired individuals. So I guess I'll take a pause here.
Bonny, before we get there, it's best to share Dipali's story as well, which acted like a pivotal point in our life. So early on in our journey, we met this young girl, Dipali, and till her first semester of college, she was sighted, and just within a span of 1 week, she lost her eyesight. She tried to learn Braille for the next 2 years to get back to education, but was denied admission in most of the colleges. Finally, she got admission in an open university, got printed books from her college, and had to wait for at least 4 to 6 weeks for one 300-page audiobook to get recorded. And we were always, worrying how will the scenario change when she starts working, when she can no longer expect her official documents to come to her in Braille or audio. And that's where we realized this bigger challenge bucket of education and employment being non-inclusive when it comes to persons with blindness and vision impairment, and how can we solve that challenge.
Fascinating, fascinating. And the comment that you started out with, I really appreciate it. I like the distinction you've made between creating Kibo devices for blind and visually impaired to with them, because that has definitely got you where you are today. And again, great distinction and advice for innovators, no matter what the field of study. Definitely want to cover in our time remaining where you are today with Kibo and just a little bit of the different features that you have accessible to people who can take advantage of it. Would you please share those features?
Sure. So Kibo, which is the name of our product, it's actually an acronym for knowledge in a box, where it's helping bridge the education and employment disparity against language, literacy, and disability barriers like blindness, low vision, and dyslexia. Kibo basically helps do 4 things. It helps you listen to content across 60 plus languages, primarily focusing on Asian, African, Latin, and Indian languages. support for handwriting, which is the next big thing. We help support translation so that you can translate content across 100 plus languages. So language is no longer a barrier. The third thing that it does is digitization. So you can digitize even handwritten notes into printed form or even digital text, which can be converted to Braille. So reducing that content access gap. And the fourth one being audiotization. So basically anything that you have can be converted into MP3 in real time across all the different languages, pretty much making printed, handwritten, and digital content across 60 global languages accessible for everyone.
Incredible, incredible. Moving on, what are some of the other aspects, Bonnie?
I have a surprise for you because Akshita mentioned about the features. While she was mentioning it, I was quickly scribbling something. Let me show you.
Please.
As Akshita said, that Kibo's ability to handle both printed as well as handwritten text. So here's something that I wrote for you, which is my own handwriting, which says, "Hello Jay, happy to meet you today." And so this is like a live demo of the product. So this is the keyboard device. You place anything underneath it. And as visually impaired users, they simply use the tab and the spacebar key to navigate the entire thing. They simply end up capturing the document that is here and then processing it. And once you have the, you get the output on the screen. They can again listen to it, translate it, or do any other thing. So here's a small demo.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so Kibo actually comprises 4 different products. First one is the Kibo mobile application, which provides on-the-go audio-based access to anything which is on the phone or around them. Second is the Kibo Desk web software, which caters to images, scanned PDFs, anything in soft copy. Then for the institutional needs, we have Kibo Access Kit, which is like a magical talking table lamp. You place anything under that lamp and you can hear it in any language you want, even if it's handwritten. And this Kibo 360 kit, which is catering to both hard copy and soft copy documents which are inaccessible, like scanned PDFs or printed documents, even handwriting.
Wow, wow. To date, how many users are there, and just a little sense of the demographics that you've been able to work with?
Sure. So Kibo was launched in July 2019, and since then we have been able to empower 100,000 beneficiaries in their education and employment journey. And we have also made 600 plus institutions, including schools, colleges, libraries, offices, inclusive for the visually impaired community across 25 countries. And we also have our distributors now in the US, UK, Brazil, 5 countries in Asia, 6 in the Middle East, and 16 in Africa. So we are trying to make sure that Kibo is everywhere where it's needed. So that's the plan.
I know there's been much reaction and feedback. Could you just give us a little sample of some of the reaction and feedback you've received from Kibo?
Sure, I think we can quickly pull something out, and in the meantime, we can have that video.
Kibo is actually not only just helping us to read, but actually giving us choice.
So, in my case, this is very essential to work in office.
मैंने देखा था हैंड राइटिंग के पेपर्स को स्कैन करके, तो वाकई में पढ़ रहा था.
It gave me the freedom to study privately and achieve more.
Thank you, Kibo.
Yeah, so those are a few users and how Kibo has impacted their life.
Incredible, incredible. Well, Bonnie, I think you've definitely made the right career decision to move on from aerospace to the incredible impact you, Akshita, and others are having on the blind and visually impaired communities. I know you've had some contact locally. Just a quick word with the MIT Solve program. which is a challenge for tech-based social entrepreneurs like yourself.
Sure. I think MIT Solve has given us the much needed exposure when it came to knowing our international partners. So our first international partnership was within the US, and we were really excited about it. And without MIT Solve, it wouldn't have been possible. Other than that, the support MIT along with its partners. So we were also winners of the Patrick J. McGovern Foundation's AI for Humanity Prize, along with the General Motors Prize. So I think all of that combined gave us the right funding support when it came to expanding our business internationally and hiring the right team, building the right technology, and also building the right partnerships for that scale up. So I think all of that was combined alongside the kind of mentorship guidance that came through MIT Solve has been amazing. And of course, who doesn't know MIT Solve? So that the credibility as a testament of the impact that we are creating has come out really well. So we cannot thank MIT Solve more.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's an incredible program and initiative. And I just have to say before we move on to a final few comments, you're both quite modest because you've been recognized in many, many ways in just such a short time. In closing, maybe a few words for others who maybe have an idea of innovation, invention, and where to go from that spark to maybe getting it to market like both of you have.
Okay, I think I have three quick ones from my side. First is if you are really passionate about something, do it and do it in a way that makes other people around you happy. And of course, there will be hurdles in the journey, but just stay the course, continue on this journey, stay perseverant, and you will be successful. If not successful, you'll at least feel that sense of achievement for the work that you're doing. And the third one is just don't shy away asking for help, because there are so many people who have been on this journey and are really supportive when it comes to helping new people coming in the space. So just don't shy off asking for help. So that was three quick ones from my side. Maybe Bonnie wants to share more.
Definitely, as I'll just add to what Akshita already said. Something additional that I just sharing from my experience, social entrepreneurship is not charity. You don't need to feel down just because you're making money or that you are a for-profit company. You should not shy away from that fact that no, social enterprises can be for-profit enterprises. They need not focus only at charity to sustain themselves, because if there's no financial wherewithal, there's no company, and if there's no company, there's no impact. So you can get rid of yourself from that notion that no, you can be a for-profit company while making social impact. So that's my additional thing.
Terrific. Thank you. In closing, for viewers and others to stay up to date of your current and upcoming plans, what's the best way to keep in touch?
Sure. I think we keep updating about us and the work that we are doing and its impact on all our social media channels, and also on our website, which is trestlelabs.com. So maybe Bonnie want to quickly pull that up. It's trestlelabs.com. That's also for the visually impaired listeners who are listening to us.
Great, great. We'll include those in the credits as well. Join us to give us insight into your journey, the development of Kibo, and the incredible impact you've had in just a relatively few years. Congratulations again, and thank you for your continued efforts in social entrepreneurship. True pleasure having you here, and look forward to following future developments. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Also want to thank those of you watching for joining us, and hope you'll be able to tune in next time.